I'm upside down. Oh, there I am. Hey everybody, I am Taylor and I'm the Stargate guy where I talk to you about everything and anything Stargate. Today is another live stream. This is all completely live unless you're watching it later, in which case it is a recording of a live show. Let me make sure that this is actually working here. I think it is. Yep, we are actually up and running. Hey, all right. So the way that this works, if you haven't seen this before, basically I discuss a topic with you live. That could be anything. Today's topic is Green Universe. Hey, what's up? Today's topic is the role of politics in Stargate. This is something that recently was discussed a lot about on the channel due to one of my videos. And I put out a poll on Twitter and YouTube. And the vast majority of you guys wanted to talk about politics in Stargate given the options, which goes to show how bad the other options were. So I talk about the subject and then I go over to your guys' comments and I get your opinions and your take on the topic. And then after that, we just kind of BS and we talk about whatever. It's kind of a Q&A thing, you know, it's just kicks and giggles, really. I mean, this is for fun. So it's good to see a lot of recognizable figures here. So the way that, just to give you a heads up, so my allergies are going absolutely bonkers today. So just a heads up on that. And I have a tablet right down there for me to actually read the comments because they only last about a second on my phone. I have to record this on my phone because I'm in the process of moving and it's just a whole thing. Anyway, so let's see here. Green Universe, howdy. Good to see you guys. Silent Killer, yo, what's up, man? See you all the time. Lucky, hello, Lucky. And George, hey, George, howdy. So let's talk about politics in Stargate. So politics, first off, sorry, I'm used to like the camera being a lot further away, so I'm used to like gesturing a lot. So I'm sorry if this is really like, anyway, holy cow. Nathaniel Pratt, $20 super chat. Wow, dude, like thank you. Like that's amazing. Like you're amazing. He says, "Hey man, I'm at work, so I won't be able to catch a bunch of the stream. Sorry, dude, that sucks. It's Sunday, man. But I wanted to kick the stream off right. Keep up the food work, man. I think he meant good work, but I'm kind of fat, so he could have meant food work. Nathaniel, thank you. That is a huge, huge help. Thank you very much. So for those of you guys who are new to live stream, basically a super chat is basically where you donate to the show. It goes to the show, not in my pocket, and it helps you along. You click on the little chat button thing, or there's a little dollar sign somewhere. I'm not too familiar. I've only done it a couple times myself. But anyway, that puts your comment right up to the top. I definitely see it. I read it, and it's greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, Nathaniel. Thank you very much. And hopefully you have a good day at work, and you can come back and watch this later. So, oh, you did mean good work, not food work. Okay, well, I don't know, man. Like I'm used to fat jokes. Like I don't know. Anyway, so politics in Stargate. So what really brought this on is several comments that were given on one of my recent videos, The Go Older Idiots, where people got rather political, and I was rather surprised. But a lot of people said things like, "Keep politics out of Stargate," or "Don't sully Stargate with politics," or anything like that, which was really surprising on multiple levels. And one of which is that the role of politics itself is so integral to Stargate. They are inseparable. There is politics all the time in Stargate. It happens all the freaking time, you know, during every single season, starting with season 1 of SG1 and continuing through the last season of Destiny and even into like the Arc of Truth and everything. Politics is part of Stargate, period. Okay? It's something that strongly develops the show later on, especially when getting involved with the IOA and that kind of thing, and the NID and all sorts of different things comes from politics. So we start off with basically Senator Kinsey. Now, Senator Kinsey, a lot of people hate Senator Kinsey, and he's made out to be a big villain of the show, and he later on becomes a rather large villain of the show. But he starts off as a senator. Now, for those of you outside the United States, now one second, I'm going to get to question stuff a little bit later, but hold on. Now, for those of you outside of the United States, a quick rundown on American politics. There are two gigantic political parties. There are the Republicans and there are the Democrats. The Republicans are the more conservative kind. Those are traditionally the more conservative kind. Those are the folks overall. Conservative is really just a good word for them. And then the Democrats tend to be more liberal. Those are the two big parties, and those dominate the government politics both at a local as well as a federal level. And there are a Senate. There's a Senate. Each state has two Senate representatives, and they have different subcommittees and everything else, and they're the kind of civilian oversight of the entire government, including the military. Well, the military is more the president's deal, but there are committees and stuff that look into funding and that kind of thing. You can really go down the rabbit hole as far as American politics go, but that's the very basics. There's also a whole bunch of other different political parties. There's the Libertarian Party, there's the Green Party, there's even a Communist Party. I'm kind of surprised about that. All kinds of different things. And there's a Nazi Party even, which is really surprising to me. But well, whatever floats your boat. So that's the very basics of American politics. And there's the president, and there's the Senate and the House of Representatives, and then there's the judicial branch, which actually makes rulings over the laws of the Supreme Court, that kind of thing. So you have these two major parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. So in American politics, it kind of ebbs and flows as far as what political party and what philosophical ideas are really controlling policy that is created at that time. So, sorry, I'll tell the Americans out there, you know this stuff. If you don't, then you need to go back to, high school and retake government class. But there's a lot that goes into politics in the American governmental system, and it's all intertwined is a good word for it. So, starting off with Senator Kinsey. Now, Senator Kinsey in season 1, he was in charge of the Senate committee to, sorry, this is for the rocking of the camera. This is all handheld on my phone. So Senator Kinsey was in charge of the oversight committee. He was the one who, sorry, I'm just reading a comment about tacos from last month's live stream. Anyway. So he was over the oversight committee that helps deal with funding for different governmental top secret kind of projects. And obviously with the SGC, with the development of that, it costs a fortune in order to run it, even though it is part of the military, and the military gets a bunch of funding. The majority of the funding, I believe, or the biggest chunk of funding goes to the military. Even with that, it costs millions and millions of dollars to keep the Stargate program running. And just the energy involved to use to open a wormhole, that's a tremendous amount of power. And that power has a drain on the system, and the government gets billed for that. I mean, you have companies that help generate power. They're using it. The government is using it. And so they, as they should, they get sent a gigantic bill. As well as you got, the funding for all the different computers and for all these different things. And yes, I do mean billions of dollars, millions of dollars to open, just to do the wormhole thing on a regular basis. Overall, billions and billions of dollars. It's a huge amount of money. And so, Senator Kinsey, rightfully so, doing his duty as an elected representative, wanted to know where the hell this money was going. I totally get that. That's part of his job. Oh, hey, Gary. So, he shows up at the SGC, and he's already, had his mind made up, after he got briefed into what the project was, that kind of thing. He's obviously a very religious figure, very Christian. I would kind of put him as an evangelical Christian, although it's not strictly stated as to what exactly, his philosophy is, but he is a Christian. And that plays a huge role into his personal beliefs and politics. And he seems to run a large majority of his political platform calling upon a belief in God and the role of God in politics and in America. So Senator Kinsey kind of shows up at the ESGC to do his due diligence and his song and dance and kind of hear them out, even though he's already, had his mind made up. And that right there starts the real significance of politics in Stargate. Before that, you had the calls between General Hammond and the president, but that was not really a gigantic thing. Kinsey showing up and wanting to shut down the program, that was a big thing at the end of season one. And he did effectively shut down the program. He did not approve any additional funding. And it was, so end of show, right? Except it was signed on for 2 seasons and we can't have that. So SG1 went off world and they blew up a couple of Apophysis ship, and that, tend to show that, hey, maybe the billions of dollars in order to, save the planet might be worth it. Okay. And Kinsey was kind of overturned, and, the funding kept going. But that was just the start of a very long thread. This is one that really, we'll get there, Richard. We'll get there. I'm just talking about the role of politics in general in Stargate, and we'll get to specific questions. Anyway, so that really started a very long thread, and funding really seems to be how politics is involved in Stargate, because they receive a lot of their. You're welcome. They receive a lot of their funding by approval of different Senate committees, which are all civilians. So, and on occasion, the figures change. Kinsey was a long running one, because not only was he in charge of of that committee with the funding, but he also got put in charge of another committee to oversee and kind of be in charge of civilian intelligence agencies similar to the NID, and no one really knows what NID really means, but it's in the Apocrypha, but canon-wise, it's not official what it means. But NID, and which had its own kind of rogue agents in there, and it's very interesting. Yeah, it's NID's interesting. I've been meaning to do a video on the NID for a while now. But so he gets himself put in charge of the NID, and before he's officially appointed, he tries to get the SGC into the control of the NID, so that, when he received his posting, he would be effectively in charge of the SGC, because he'd be the one that ultimately would approve funding, not approve funding, would say, hey, these people are doing illegal activities, we need to shut them down, or these people are abusing their power or whatever, and lies but off in order to get control. Kinsey's character loves control. And yes, that would be a good way of identifying. Sorry. Orotakawa Tenga. I'm horrible at names. But he just mentioned that, really Kinsey is a pseudo Christian, meaning he was Christian church attendee, but he was too narcissistic of being an actual Christian. That is a good description of him. Thank you very much. But, Kinsey absolutely loved power, and that is very plain. And he wanted to control the Stargate because the Stargate had a whole lot of power. It had more power than him, is really what it came down to. And so he really wanted to get control of it, to control Pandora's box, okay, to use his analogy. Now, in his search for power, political power, that brings us to him becoming the vice president with President Hayes. President Hayes, so to go with Kinsey, we can safely identify Kinsey as being on the conservative spectrum. He would probably belong to the Republican Party. That is not outright confirmed, but given his statements, largely on both sides of the spectrum of the political world, references to God and that kind of thing, and is used on both sides of the spectrum. On the conservative side of it, it tends to be used a little bit more. And with Kinsey's actions on wanting to limit government, of wanting to decrease spending, on wanting to, well, I guess that I'm trying not to really go into it too much and offend people and that kind of thing, get involved in modern politics. But it seemed like Kinsey was more on the conservative side of things, and he wanted to limit government, is a good way to say that. So we can assume that Hayes, from the get go, is also a member of the same party. It is extremely rare, as in like unheard of, for a president and a vice president to run for that office who are not on the same political party. That hasn't happened, since like the first one or two presidents. And we had a completely different system back then. But anyway, getting off topic. So Hayes is still a member of the same political party as Kinsey and has similar political views, but is not as extreme as Kinsey. He does not, have that divine. Yeah, this is really hard to put into words. He does not have that sense of God playing such a huge role in politics as Kinsey does. He does have some conservative values and belief systems, but he's a lot more chill about it. He's a lot more friendly in his belief. He's willing to work with people, whereas Kinsey does not want to work with people. He just wants to control people, which ultimately proves to be his downfall. And so, for example, during the Anubis attack, when Kinsey was he was wanting to get off world, and he was in the SGC, and he wanted to control power, and he wanted to get off world and protect his own butt, he got fired by President Hayes, which we were all very glad to see, most likely. I can't think of a single person who like, oh man, Kinsey got fired. Like that's, oh man, that's horrible. He was such a good guy. I haven't heard that from somebody. You might have that belief. I don't know. But Hayes then approves what was going on with the SGC and ultimately has the last say as the president of the United States and of the head of the military. But that kind of changed. He kind of limited his power when the SGC, when the United States military decided to bring in other major nations in on the secret of the Stargate, as well persuaded by the Asgard. They wanted to work with more of a planet rather than one nation on it. Although they like working with the SGC and we're homies. So that's when they let in countries like China and UK and France and Germany and some of the more bigger political and military nations on the planet. They did not let in smaller countries that do not have a lot of political say on a global scale or did not have a lot of military resources on a global scale. For example, there wasn't a representative from Haiti sitting on the board, or I don't know, Nigeria or Belize. We're talking about gigantic major nations: Russia, China, Germany, France, UK, United States. The guys with a lot of global influence and a lot of global influence politically and militarily. Which say what you will about that. Personally, I think that was kind of a good move to kind of open it up. If you open it up to absolutely everybody in the UN, you will just open up a gigantic bunch of words. A bunch of words, bunch of worms. Wow, I have a hard time speaking today. But anyway, later on, with the funding of the SGC, the funding of the SGC was going to get cut down to like 3% of what it was. With the Goa'uld being gone, the people who were controlling the funding understood that less money was needed because the whole world is not at threat of outside invasion, even though the Ori was starting to become a thing, and they wanted to pull back a whole bunch of funding from the SGC and give it to the Atlantis expedition to fight the Wraith. And what really happened is that there was a compromise being made that would include the IOA, the International Oversight Advisory, to kind of help control the SGC and the Atlantis expedition. And in return, the SGC kind of got their funding. But now we have international civilian committee politics being in charge of the SGC. And Richard Woolsey, who started off as an informant for Kinsey and a fact finder for Kinsey, now takes a more active role. He even spends a year, a couple of years being in charge of the Atlantis expedition, and really, international politics at this point, not just U.S. government politics, international politics, ends up controlling the SGC. And we have the IOA, and we have the different people in the IOA who have their own political agendas. There are some people who want power. There are some people who want to bring it public. There are some people who want to keep it absolutely secret and who want to get technology. There's all these political ideas and philosophies at an international level governmenting what happens at the SGC and the Atlantis expedition. Okay, so we went from no, like very little, just the president being in charge of this, and then goes to senates and committees in the United States, and then we went from American politics to international politics. Okay, so that is what tells the military kind of what to do is politics and civilians. On grand scheme of things, when it comes to specific orders or something, the generals and everything take that over, and they do good work. But we also have other things spring up. We have the trust springs up. We have the committee spring up. Okay, different smaller groups with their own political agendas. Now, the trust, they're actually kind of like terrorists, really. Like they wanted to get technology for themselves and for the government to help, for the planet to help keep it safe. Okay, that was their whole thing. And they were going to do that by any means necessary. Then we had the committee, which was a whole bunch of very wealthy business people who wanted to get alien technology to produce better products and to make more money. Okay, so just from the storyteller's perspective, we have the writers, the directors, and that kind of thing creating stories where they are vilifying some certain political points of view. And overall, there's tend to be more on the conservative end of things, or the extreme conservative end of things, not the middle of the road people like President Hayes, but the more extreme people like Kinsey, the extreme capitalism of the committee, the people who just had no morals about making any money, which is not the majority of capitalists. They're a small portion there of the extreme people. And so we really don't have a lot of political figures in Stargate who are on the more liberal spectrum of things. We did start to get in on that more with the IOA and with a couple of the smaller characters there. Not so much Woolsey. Woolsey, was more of a following orders kind of thing, and then he realized that you can't really do that in real life. But the IOA played a huge role in Stargate later on. Major decisions were up to the IOA. Now, they chose not to make decisions, but to bicker about it until a decision had to be made by a person on the ground, giving them a scapegoat. In case the decision did not work out, then they can say, well, it was that person, who made that decision. That wasn't us. Okay, but if they did well, then the IOA would go like, oh yeah, well we're in charge of that guy. Politics played a huge role in Stargate. Is all I'm saying. So to say keep politics out of Stargate or don't sell you Stargate with politics is ridiculous because there was always a thread during the entire show, and not just SG-1, but Atlantis. We saw a lot of IOA involvement in Atlantis, as well as Destiny. Whenever we went to Earth, it was you're dealing with the military and you're dealing with politics. And politics followed the Destiny on board. A representative of the IOA was on board, and she brought her political agendas with her. So I'm sorry, guys, but there's always politics in Stargate because you're dealing with a show who deals with the military, and where there's military, there's politics. At least in America. In some countries, not so much, but in America, there is. So, no big theory or anything about that. I just wanted to point out the role of politics in Stargate. Politics governs Stargate. Sorry. For better or for worse. A lot of times it's for worse. But that's what it is. And we might as well recognize it for what it is. So let's go to the comments here. I am way behind on the comments. You guys have been talking to each other, which is awesome. Again, I have a tablet down here, so I'm going to be looking down. But let's start up here. Wow, I am way behind. All the way up at the top here. Let's see here. I'll be Tex What do you think about the Uronda episode? How is it possible that Nazis go to other planets? So the Urandan episode was the one, if I'm recalling right, where SG-1 shows up, or really they get people who kill themselves against the Iris, and then they get a message from a planet who is trying to find some help for. They're trying to find heavy water for their shields, and in return, SG-1 can get a whole bunch of different technology, a lot of which is military technology, which Tilk and Jack experienced. But then later on, it was found out that the people that the Urandans that they would be dealing business with had a lot of values that were similar to the Nazis of Germany during World War II. Yes, and they were fighting the breeders. Thank you, Richard. People who, believe that you could have kids with whoever you want, and, they don't have to be of a specific set of looks and appearances and that kind of thing, different genetic traits. So, Jack basically made almost a unilateral decision of we're not doing business with these people. So what do I think about them? I think that it is a good story. I think that it is a good way to bring up the question of do we do business with people who do not have values similar to us or who do not value life as we do, who have very different morals than we do, ones in which we directly fought against not that long ago and thousands of people died for. That's really the question. Personally, I'm glad that the decision was made to let them go about their business and to not do business with them, not trade with them. I'm a fan of that because that would kind of undermine everything that we fought for and that people died for 2 generations ago. And yeah, it was a great episode, very well done. Renee did a great job being being an actor in that episode. But I personally, since you're asking my opinion, I personally believe that we made a good decision. Moving on here. Blue Skipper still never ate a taco, dude. Eat a taco. That goes back to last month's live stream. You can go. We got on the huge tangent with tacos, and it was kind of funny. But anyway, Dragonware 44. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Hey man, how you doing? Long time subscriber. Dow FAQ. Hey, actually not working for a stream for once. Come try it. Awesome. Welcome to the party. I'm glad to see you. Man, there's a whole bunch of people on here that I recognize from comments and stuff. This is awesome. By the way, I'm actually horrible at names, so you're gonna have to forgive me. Reneus Nesbit. Yep, there's a lot of politics in Stargate, especially with the Russia and China. Yes, there's a huge thing that went on with international politics with the United States and Russia, and the United States and Russia and China, and that whole triangle that is very similar to real life. And we got to remember here that I think one of the reasons why they told the political story like they did is because within the United States at that time period, the majority of politics at that time were held by people who were part of a conservative party. So we had President George W. Bush in office during the time period that Stargate was playing largely, and there was a large Republican majority in the Senate and within the House of Representatives. So a lot of American politics at that time tended to be rather conservative, and a lot of the policies that came out. So I think that's one of the reasons why they went more talking about conservative politics than liberal politics in relation to the SGC, is because that's what was going on in real life, and this is about the SGC that's going on in real life at real time. So I think that's one of the reasons why they went that way. But I got off topic. That's very easy to do. It's easy for me to get off topic, even when Sarah's not here. Graham Telford, hello from north of the wall. Howdy, from north of the wall. Do you mean Canada? Do we have a wall there? What? I don't know. But hi, Graham. Nice to see you. Um, more talk about tacos. Uh, uh, or Takawatenga. Kinsey was on the Senate Appropriation Committee. Yes, thank you very much. The Senate Appropriation Committee. I'm forgetting the name of that. But yeah, Senate Appropriations Committee. Yes. Um, do 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 do. Alistair61, hello all. Hey, nice to see you again. Um, oh, James just popped up. Hi, James. Good to see you. Said hi to Gary, Mr. Bojangles. Hello. Man, a lot of hellos. Richard, yo, yo, yo. Um, Brad Wheelock, I think he's going to cost billions a month around. Yep. Do, do, do. Yeah. So the Dow FAQ, remember that Kinsey actually using the words false gods, referring to the gold, and use that a lot, um, in God and politics and that kind of thing. It was a very interesting character. And he was a huge hypocrite. Thank you, Dragonware 44. Rich Hughes, hey, at the Stargate guy, I hope that things are good with you. For the most part, yes, they are. Thank you very much for asking. Mr. Husker, 1996, in Eastern Europe, he would have whacked. Wait, in Eastern Europe, he would get whacked for asking too many questions, even though he was just doing his job. Just saying. Okay, that would have made for an interesting show. Um, that I don't know. That is interesting. Like how politics would have changed the SGC if the SGC was in different countries. Like if it was set up originally in Russia or China or the UK or Germany, um, or an Eastern European nation. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Or like Brazil, the SGC that was run by Brazil. That'd be interesting. I don't know. How would Carnival play into effect there? I don't know. Yeah, it's just anyway. It's interesting to think about. Um, do do do. Richard Hughes at the Stargate guy. My invite to shoot a PS90 still stands. Ooh, yay. You just have to come to Palm Beach or Orlando. Man, I would love that. I have no idea when I'm going to be heading down there, but thank you for the invite. I like that. Dow FAQ NID stands for Not Identified Division. That's interesting. Let's see here. Let's see here. The Apollo missions cost nearly $2 billion in the 60s, so in the 90s, that's a hell of a lot more. Man, there's so many comments here to kind of wade through. I'm just kind of skimming at this point. Yep, pointing out that even like today, people are pointing out God and references to God in politics. Yes. Mr. Husker, 1996. UN was technically behind the IOA, I believe. Just like in real life, they do more of an oversight. Then boots on the ground are usually supplied by member states. Basically, yeah. I mean, I wasn't divulged to the whole of the UN that the SGC existed. So I don't know if it was controlled directly from the UN. I think what really happened is that the nations that were in on the Stargate project, that they are the ones who created the IOA. And yeah, so I don't know if it was strictly under the UN. I think it was just a separate thing that was created by the people who knew about the SGC. I don't know for sure though. I think that's just my thought. Man, you guys are really getting into the comments here about money. Money plays a huge factor in politics, in the SGC. So I like it. From what I can see, it could have been nonsensical mumbling, not being able to really understand what you're saying, but clearly indicates that you're trying to read something and yet needing to talk, or else it's dead air, and that's not good. Richard Hughes, I never understood the origin of the NID. Neither do I. the we do know that the NID is a civilian organization. It is a legitimate civilian organization, although there were some members who broke off and went rogue. But my thought is that basically it was kind of like a security intelligence agency, similar to like the FBI or CIA, or I don't know, not really the DoD, but NSA, the National Security Agency, maybe similar to that, in that it does its own organizations, but it's to oversee top secret projects. So it is not really doing intelligence on criminals. It is not really doing intelligence and espionage work outside of the nations. It is overseeing top secret projects to make sure that they are not getting too out of hand. Is basically what the NID does. How it got formed, we don't know. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. It's kind of the NID is kind of confusing, and there were several. It seems like every other person went rogue in NID. Like it's kind of ridiculous, but I don't know, hopefully that helps. Mr. Huster, is in Nigeria kind of rich? I don't know actually. I don't know. There's just a country that popped in my head. I don't know. Java Beans. Well, the country with military money to chip in, yes. So a lot of the countries that have bigger militaries were the ones that were involved initially. And since we still have the Guowood threat going on, that was probably my future father-in-law is doing work in the garage. So sorry if you hear that. But yeah, so the country with the bigger military, with the Guowood threat, that was probably why, were one of the major reasons why they were brought in. If I recall at the beginning of the episode, I think General Hammond stated, or one of the American representatives stated that that was one of the reasons that the nations represented the majority of the military forces, which would be needed in the event of a Guowood invasion. So it's best to be on the same page about these things. Let's see here. Dragonware 44, the IOA just made the SGC a bureaucratic mess. I would say that the IOA just boosted it, that it was already a bureaucratic mess. You were just dealing with American bureaucrats. You're dealing with, Kinsey and, after him, what was his name? Senator Finn? Something like that. We didn't see him a lot. He only appeared in like 2 episodes. But yeah, so I don't know. It's still kind of a bureaucratic mess. And when Jack becomes the leader of the SGC, you find out exactly how much of a bureaucratic mess it really is, because Walter kind of points it out to him, and kind of forces him to deal with it a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit, and Jack tried to avoid it at all costs, and I can't really blame him for that. I mean, hell, I'm a bureaucrat, and I try to avoid it at all costs. But whatever. The bureaucracy is not really a fun thing, but it is needed to an extent, in my opinion. Let's see here. Don't forget the philosophical replicators. Simi Rota, woo! Finally caught you live again. What's up? I'm glad you did. So hopefully I can get caught up in comments here and actually start answering questions or something. Don't forget the Lucian Alliance. The Lucian Alliance was interesting. I need to make a video just on the Lucian Alliance because they're really interesting. I mean, they're kind of like old school gangsters taken to the extreme, almost like interplanetary gangsters. It's interesting. Good night, Travelers. I have to rewatch Travelers. Yeah. Travelers in Stargate is fun. I haven't seen the Travelers series. Goodfellas in Space. Yeah, that's basically the Lucian Alliance. Let's see here. Joseph Smith, Mormonism Explained. I just got an all access membership on Stargate Command. I just watched the episode The Knots, and it occurred to me that they seemed naive towards the Goa'uld, but later on they were among the four races. EXP? Explain, I guess. Um, I don't know if they were naive about the Goa'uld. I think that the Knots are just extreme pacifists, and they pretty much love everybody. Well, I don't know about love, but they pretty much tolerate everybody, and they're big fans of preserving life. So I don't know if they were naive about the Goa'uld. They seem to be rather familiar with them, and they kind of, came to a way where they don't have to deal with them. I mean, with just making the Fenrir invisible, and the Goa'uld kind of chase their own tails. Um, they knew about them. As far as the four great races go, I do have a theory on that that's written down as part of a project of mine that I've been doing in the background during my ample amount of free time. But no, I don't think they were naive at all. And as far as being a member of the four great races, there were some things that all four races seem to have in common. Intelligence seemed to be one of them. Another one was interplanetary and or intergalactic abilities. So being at a certain technological level, which the Nox certainly are, as well as having, at least on the members that we see, having a similar mindset of not actively seeking out war, and being rather self-defense kind of people, not so much warmongering kind of people, which the Nox the Nox meet those three qualifications that we mainly see. We still don't know a whole lot about them. I would love to know more about the Nox. They're a very interesting species. Um, but to them, we are very young, and the very young do not always do what they're told. And if you don't believe that, then you know, find somebody with, find a parent, and ask them how well their kids behave, and you will hear exactly how the very young do not always do what they're told. Let's see here. Lucky Kakoni, yeah, Lucky Kakoni, I guess. If you have a chance to live one day on an alien planet and be a part of their population, that which alien race and planet would you choose? Okay, so you get to be a member of their species as well as on their planet for a day. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I haven't gotten that one before. Oh, I should tilt the camera up a little bit. Um, my first instinct is the Asgard, but I don't know if I want to hang around them all day. Really, I think it would go back to the Nox. Really, I wouldn't mind hanging out and being one of them for a day. It would give a big understanding into their culture, into their societies, into their values, and just for a single day, you could learn a lot from those people because we don't know a lot about them at all. And then after spending one day, I would be, the person to go to for information about the Nox, and that's a really specific mindset and category that the XGC could find very valuable, since they would love to have the Nox as an ally. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Nox. My answer would probably change tomorrow, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Nox. Do. Mr. Husker, 1996, at the Stargate Guy. How do you think the politics would be different in, let's say, European country with dozens of different parties and hundreds of candidates changing every year or two? Um, I don't know. I don't really know how it would change because I don't know a lot of countries' political systems outside of the United States. I know a little bit about Canada, a little bit about um, a lot of different European countries. I know more about the United Kingdom. I've done more research in there about their political system. I find that rather interesting. Um, I, Watching Parliament sometimes is rather entertaining, compared to the American Senate. The Senate is boring in contrast. But I don't know. As far as when you have so much change in a country, because in the United States, although it may seem like we have a lot of change, there are schedules. So a person in a member of the House of Representatives, they need to run for reelection every 4 years, I believe, and in the Senate they need to run every 6 years. And the reason why that was really instilled, and they're on, kind of staggering schedules. So you don't have the entire country running for office all in 1 year, but it's staggered. And that was done intentionally to prevent one political group from sweeping the entire country and taking over, from having too much change. In the original formation of the country and of the law, generally speaking, in the United States, it was thought of as a good thing for change every now and then. I mean, these were the same people who fought against the British to ensure a giant change in politics as well as in various freedoms and that kind of thing. But if you're changing all the time, then you just have an unstable country, and unstable countries fall. But countries that never change tend to, be stagnant and die. So if the Stargate program was in a country that had a lot more rapid political change, I think that the SGC would not function as well. I mean, if your mission changes every year, with what you have to do, your primary objective changes every year, every other year, you're not going to know exactly what the hell you're doing. And it's harder for people to make alliances with you because you're always changing. And they don't know if 5 years from now, if it's going to be the same group of people that they originally made that alliance with, if they're going to have the same values, morals, if they're going to have the same way of running. It makes it a little harder. At least that's my personal viewpoint and observations of it. I don't know for sure. What I say is not canon. Okay, it's just my thoughts on it. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. Um, Michael Nayborn, Naden, Narden, I think. I am a fan of Stargate, but I don't have a lot of time to bin watch. I think it means binge watch Stargate. How do you do it? Well, I got started a long time ago, and I liked it, and I watched it a lot when I did have a lot of time. Nowadays, I do not have as much time to binge watch Stargate, so what I do is that if I'm doing research on a particular video, then I go watch the episodes relating to that topic. I go watch key episodes that I already kind of know about. If you still don't know about it, what I have done is that if I didn't really have time, I would put on Stargate and let it play through the different episodes while I am doing a smaller task that I can do sitting on the couch. And sort through papers or do so I'm still accomplishing something, but I'm still getting what's going on screen. So that's something that you could try, but that's what I do, and it's easier for me because I watched it all a dozen freaking times. I don't know. I hope that helps. Richard Hughes, that episode was funny because Daniel wanted to know more, and Jack kept telling him to shut up. And Jack, oh, you're talking about the one with the faux Nazis. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm with you here. Man, I'm really behind in the comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just gonna try looking for question marks and see if that helps. Jesse Kenny, hey, what's up? Nothing much. How are you? I'm doing a live stream. I think it's going okay, but I don't know. It's an interesting topic, and it's kind of hard to talk about politics, especially in a culture that is so divided on politics at the current time. But I think it's going okay. Yeah. How are you doing? So, let's see here. Question marks, question marks. Albie Tex, what do you think was the Shen politic or politics? They were more Republic or Big Federation? What do you think was the Ashen politics? They were more Republic or Big Federation? Um, the Ashen were just freaking devious. They had a very unique political view. Um, I would say that the Ashen, if I had to put a label on it, um, I think they were an extreme, very extreme version of, um, I kind of want to say socialism, but I don't know if that's correct. They wanted to have their central government dictate everything, and they wanted to reduce the population to a manageable size of people that they could control and dictate the policies and even what people are going to do for jobs. Um, so I don't know. I think I'm going to go with that. Continue on. Madison D. Taylor, huge fan of Stargate, SG1, SGA, SGU, and think all the content you do is great. Wow, thank you. So I think the most intelligent, deeply thoughtful question is, who was the hottest lady on any Stargate? Oh, that's awesome. It all depends on what you like. I don't know. I occasionally get this question, not with that in front of it, but I occasionally get this question. I don't know. It kind of changes. It kind of changes. Um, and really, the vast majority of women in Stargate are rather attractive. Um, like I don't know. I kind of like Dr. Keller. Dr. Keller's really nice. Taylor's okay. Um, I did have a little bit of a crush on Samantha Carter for a little while, but Simply Nostalgia says Astria is probably the hottest. Um, I don't know. It kind of depends on what you like and what you're attracted to. This week, I'm going to say Dr. Keller. This week. Next week, that's probably going to change. Um, in the end, though, I am more attractive to Sarah, my fiance, but she's not in Stargate, so I can't really, use that as the answer. Um, question mark, question mark. Not a lot of people use question marks. Clearly, the correct answer is some people talking about Andrea. Oh, here's one. Um, live ancients or ascended, living agents or ascended agents. We're planning to add Dragonware. Dragonware said the ancients were arrogant, self-righteous a-holes. Yeah, I can't argue with that too much. Like that's one of the reasons why I made the ancients are idiots video. Okay. Um, Richard Hughes, does anyone have a count on how many times Daniel Jackson died/was killed? Yes. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I want to say 7 or 8. 7 or 8. I don't know. If you're talking about like actually like dead and brought back to life, that's a different number. If you're talking about receiving fatal wounds and then hopped in the sarcophagus and got better, that's a different number. But I don't know. I want to say like 6 or 7. Yeah. Jesse Kenny, Ronan got a gun from those nomads from Atlantis. Implied, maybe. Yeah, travelers. And that information is located in my video called "How Does Ronan Guns Work?" How does Ronan's gun work? Yeah, basically he got it from the travelers. How exactly, we don't know. If he killed a guy and took it, or if it was given to him, we don't know that part. But that does generate from the travelers. Bernardo, Daedalus versus Star Destroyer. Daedalus. Yeah, especially if you hook it up with Asgard beaming and beaming technology, shield and weapons technology. Daedalus, hands down, no problem. I mean, for crying out loud, like a Star Destroyer, Like it shot the Millennium Falcon how many times and it didn't destroy it? Like, come on. Come on. Anyway. Let's use that versus Star Trek phasers. Um, phasers has more options. Omega Ordained. Greetings, Taylor. Greetings, Omega Ordained. I haven't watched your history of Janet Fraser video yet. I've been meaning to. That just popped up the other day, but I've been rather busy. But I'm gonna watch that. Um, for people who don't know, Omega Ordained also does a channel called Stargate Ordained. Or no, Omega Stargate Omega. That's it. Wow. Sorry, dude. Stargate Omega, and he's been doing some videos on the history of blank. Um, and some of them, they're quite interesting videos, some of them. So you're welcome to go check them out. Let's see here. Question marks. Dragonware 44 Gazo. I don't get it. that's the only word. Otakwa Tenga, I guess. At Stargate Guide, Travelers versus the Lucian Alliance, who would you pick to win? Lucian Alliance. They have a lot more resources. Their ships are a lot newer. And there's a lot more of them than the Travelers. So Travelers would lose due to newer ships and more population. Most likely. I don't know. Off the top of my head answer. Let's see here. Question marks, question marks. So if you have questions, a question mark would be helpful. At Stargate Guy, do you have a Plex server? I don't know what the hell that is. So, I don't know. Simply nostalgia playthroughs. I just got here, but do you think the Tolan civilization would qualify as a stagnant civilization? Yes. I would say so in some aspects. In other aspects, they are advancing quite well technologically. However, what really got them was their stagnance in military and defensive technology. That's what really got their downfall. So they were quite stagnant in that ability, that they did not continue to innovate the defense systems. And so all that needed to happen was for a Guo to come along and adapt his technology and out innovate them in that aspect, which is what happened. And as soon as Gould Hatak made it through their defense systems, game over. So partly, yeah, they were a stagnant culture in that aspect. In others, not so much. Question marks. If you have questions, question marks help so I can see it because there's a lot of freaking comments, which is still awesome. But let's see here. Here's one. Michael Narden at the Stargate Guy. Thank you for answering my question. Question mark. You're welcome. You're my first YouTuber to answer any question of mine. I will be watching your channel a lot and think. I do have to go so I can study things. Oh, well, you're quite welcome. One of the things that I really tried to do is at least reading every comment that comes across this channel. I just don't have time to reply to all of them, but I try to. And nowadays, so those of you who don't know, I'm getting married in a couple of months, and I'm moving, and I'm doing the Stargate Superfan panel thing. So I've been working with MGM a little bit. And I have a full-time job on top of this, so I just don't have time to answer every comment like I used to, but I try. I wish I could do this full-time so I could answer every comment. Still trying to make that happen, but that's a difficult jump to make. Mr. Husker 1996, how do you think humanity of Earth would treat Stargate aliens in real life? Would basic human rights extend to them? SGC was against using gas, for example. Would we use WMDs against aliens? Good question. I think that we would have to admit that if we come across any sentient interplanetary species, that they are intelligent enough to have basic human rights as we refer to them. So, um, like using gases, for example, which were outlawed after World War One in combat, and was brought up in Stargate and taken out in Stargate after the rogue factions used those against Jaffa and Gwawud, the symbiote poison. I do think that basic human rights would be extended to alien species in real life. Yeah, I believe so. How do you think humanity of Earth would treat Stargate aliens in real life? At first, I think everyone would be really freaked out that it's a thing and that we've been having contact with different alien species. I think at first there would be a lot of panic, and because people don't know, with a lot of unknown comes a lot of fear. And so overall, I think people would just not be happy, and everyone would want answers, and everyone would want more information, and the entire UN would be in an uproar, and people would be in an uproar because, oh my God, like this, my country or these countries kept secrets, like this gigantic thing for me, and some of the population would be like, I knew it, I knew there were aliens, I knew we were having contact with them. Which up to now would be completely discredited. So at first, I think it would be chaos. I think eventually, yeah, it would get under control and people would adapt. Human beings tend to be rather adaptive overall, some more than others. But it's a whole messed up thing. Space Force, as Omega Ordained said. Yes, we could effectively have a Space Force, and separate the Daedalus and everything like that out of the Air Force and have an international Space Force. Possible. I don't know. Let's see here. Miss Wubwub, I think that's how you say it. Hey Taylor, just wanted to say thank you for your channel. It's inspiring to see such dedicated fans still exist of Stargate, or for Stargate. Well, thank you very much. I very, very much appreciate people's support of the channel and of the work. It is very amazing to me to see all the people that have gathered around this channel to talk about Stargate and to share something that we love and has made a big impact in our life. So thank you, really, thank you so much. Because I might not be doing this still, at least not at this level, without people who want to talk about Stargate and who want to support the channel. So thank you very much, and welcome to the channel if you're new. Question marks, question marks. If you have a question, use question marks so I can see it. Jesse Kenny, what do you think Stargate would be like if it was on in today's political climate? That's really the question with bringing back Stargate, because the big appeal of Stargate is that it happens in the here and now. So having a new Stargate show that takes place in the here and now would have to take into account the politics of today, and the politics of today is rather divisive, to say the very least. People tend not to meet in the middle as much anymore. It is my way or the highway overall on both sides of the spectrum. And I try not to watch the news too much. I try to stay out of politics personally too much. I do have my own political beliefs that I try not to force down anyone's throat. The Stargate guy is by far politically neutral. I try not to get into it. But setting Stargate in today's world with today's political spectrum, I think that you would have characters that would represent the far sides of both sides of the political spectrum. How exactly that would look in the SGC, I don't know, or in the IOA. It could be that in the IOA you have two characters. One is extremely conservative, one is extremely liberal, and they go back and forth, and you have stories that develop out of that, or at least part stories developed out of that. I think that's really how it would be represented in a new show, but I'm not totally sure. I don't know. I'm not writing a new show that takes place now, so I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Let's see here. Question marks. Question marks. Oh, hey, I think I'm getting caught up, which means I don't have to just look at question marks. Miss Wubwub, what is your favorite episode? Groundhog Day episode notwithstanding. And what is your least favorite episode? So to answer the first part of that question, so StargateCommand.co, to answer your question in a little roundabout way, StargateCommand.co just launched a brand new version of their website. And within that brand new version, there is a tab called Fans. And if you go to the fan tab and you go down to featured fans, I think it is, then in there, there's a little video about favorite episodes of the 10 superfan panelists, of which I'm one. It's a very interesting episode, or a very interesting little video to watch. And it's not, I don't think it's published on the YouTube page, but if you go to that page in the StargateCommand.co website, it was interesting to me because they filmed those with us all separately, and we talked about it later on. But it was interesting to see the variety of who had different favorite episodes and why. So the one that I chose and that I rather like is Wormhole Extreme. I really like Wormhole Extreme because it shows us, it not only gives us a good story with Stargate and one that is kind of funny and a little insightful, but it also shows us behind the curtain of the people who make Stargate. So the people that were on set, who were camera people and sound people and props people and all the hundreds of people that go into making a show of that size were seen on camera doing their jobs or other people's jobs, and there were all sorts of like little in jokes that were just funny. Like Peter DeLuise always yelling "bigger" with the explosions coming up. Like that's just funny. Because Stargate does have a lot of big explosions. So Wormhole Extreme, I think that's my favorite episode. There's a lot of good episodes, so it's kind of hard to choose. Least favorite episode, I have never had that question. So I can't give you an answer off the top of my head. There are some episodes that I just don't like. Oh, like, okay, so the episode that comes to mind as one I do not like is Cold Lazarus in season 1 of SG1. Cold Lazarus is where SG1 goes to a sand planet and they see a whole bunch of crystals. And the energy in one of those crystals makes a copy of Jack and has some vague memories of Jack and goes and reconnects with Jack's wife, Sarah, and asks about Charlie and that kind of thing. Like it was a nice tie up to Jack's personal story left over from the movie. I wasn't too interested in that really, and that episode to me was more melodramatic. So I wasn't a big fan of Cold Lazarus. Some people do really like it. Sarah, my fiance, likes that episode because it ties up that storyline and she likes the more emotional aspect of it. I don't. But yeah, so I don't know. That just comes to mind. I don't know if it's my least favorite episode, but I'm not a big fan of that one. Let's see here. Let's go back. I think I lost track of things again. I do that. Let's see. I read that comment, so I'm probably lower here. Dragonware 44 to Mr. Husker 1996. We nuked the Goa'uld world several times. Yep, we did. So WMDs, apparently we have no problem using those against Goa'uld enemies. Crap. I totally lost my place. JC, would you want to guest star on Wormhole Wednesdays? And congrats on the wedding. So for those of you who do not know, Wormhole Wednesdays is something that StargateCommand.co does on their YouTube page, where they have a little live stream and they have a live rewatch of 2 different episodes. And before and after afterwards, you have their narrator, MC, I guess you would call him, kind of do a little explanation of the episodes, and sometimes he has guest people on, and it's quite interesting. I like watching the rewatch or the Wormhole Wednesdays on Stargate Command's YouTube channel, and those are two full episodes that they rewatch, and they stay on the channel for like 2 days or something like that. But yeah, I would love to be a guest star on Wormhole Wednesdays. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I like working with Stargate Command people. I haven't met one so far I haven't liked, so yeah, I'd love it. Let's see here. Damn, I lost my place again. Oh, there I am. Richard Hughes at the Stargate guy. Is your future wife a Stargate fan? So yes, and no. So Sarah, who's my fiance, we're getting married in a couple of months. She did not know anything about Stargate when she met me, and when she met me, I told her, "Hey, so this is something I like doing. If you want to internet stalk me, this is how you do it." So after our first date, she went home and she watched the Stargate movie, and she quite liked the Stargate movie, and so she asked to borrow season one of SG1, and so she's been going through of her own accord. I have not pushed her into doing it. I have not asked her to. Of her own devices, she has now watched the first two seasons of Stargate SG1, and we've gotten rather busy, so she hasn't been able to watch the rest of them. So she's a little confused when she sees some of my videos, and she tries not to watch ones where about things that she hasn't seen yet, cause spoilers. But yeah, she's really liked what she's seen so far. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that she's a fan. She's not, a colossal fan right now because she hasn't seen all of it. But yeah, she quite enjoys it. I would say though that when we're together, we tend to watch other shows that both of us have either not seen or one of us has seen. We kind of like switch off watching different shows. There's a lot of stuff that we need to get through, and it's going to take the rest of our lives to get through all these different shows. But she's a fan, yes. Um, Lucky Kakoni, Lucky Kakoni, with a lot of question marks, so I could see that. Asgard versus Ancients, who would win? I don't know. Asgard versus Asgard. Really, it's Asgard beam weapons and shield versus ancient drones and shields. Um, Really, it's a moot point because it would never happen. As far as who would, I don't know. It's a coin toss. Because on one hand, you had the Pegasus Asgard break into Atlantis, no problem. Of course, they had the password kind of to make it through the shield. If they didn't, then that would be a different episode, or that would be a different thing. Um, but they just cut through the whole of Atlantis like it was butter. Um, on the other hand, a handful of ancient drones can take out a freaking Wraith cruiser. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. A couple of people have said that I should have a series where this versus that. What it would it be like if the Asgard and the Ancients went to war, or who would win, Ronan or Teal'c, which I have a video about that on my channel called Beard vs. Geek. But kind of comparisons like that. I don't know if I want to do that. Let me know in the comment section, not in the. I think is it over here? Which one am I pointing? Over here. I had to look at myself for a second down there. So don't comment over here. If you want videos like that, comment down below if you want me to do a series of kind of versus series, Wraith versus Goa'uld, or Asgard versus Ancients, or anything like that. Let me know in the comment section there, because I can go back and I can reread those a lot easier than I can this stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a toss-up, really. I'd have to do a lot more research on that. Let's see here. Mr. Husker 1996. On topics of politics, do you think some humans of Earth would believe that they are superior to humans from other worlds in Stargates, or they be welcome more as lost brethren? It depends. I mean, you're dealing with individuals at that point, not really nation nation policies. And so some human beings will probably feel superior because they're the ones that overthrow the Goa'uld. Excuse me, I almost sneezed there. Allergies. Others, I think would be very accepting. Wow, I still want to sneeze. It's like right on the edge of sneezing. I think really what it would really become is an immigration issue and a welfare issue. I think what would really come down if people wanted to immigrate from other planets who were oppressed by the Goa'uld to come to Earth. I could see that happening if the gate was all public and everything, and at which point it would be an immigration and a welfare issue, and what to do there. And that's already a huge issue already with just the people that we have on Earth. So I don't know. Sorry, father-in-law, future father-in-law, I should say, loves tools and making stuff. Hence the noise. Anyway, so I think it would depend. Some people would probably feel superior. Others would be totally welcoming and come on in. As far as politics goes, what policy would win? I don't know. It all depends on who's in charge at the point, or at that point. The Shuggy? Yeah, the Shuggy. Would you agree that pushing a political agenda and trying to tell viewers how to think is annoying? Stargate is great because it explores these concepts without it being black and white. So I would agree that on the most part on entertainment channels, that it is good not to push political agendas, and I have been trying not to do that. I've just been trying to explain how different people view things and not expressing my political viewpoints and pushing my political ideas. I try not to do that. I would say that Stargate. You said Stargate is great because it explores these concepts without it being black and white. I would say that is not entirely correct because you did have people like Kinsey. Kinsey was very conservative, a very God-fearing person, quote unquote, who had a very specific political agenda, and he was vilified, and he was an enemy, and he was bad. He was a bad guy, and later on he turned out to be, a bad guy possessed by a Goa'uld, solidifying that he was bad. So I would say by the way that they portrayed Kinsey, that is a way of pushing a political viewpoint. So I would say that Stargate did not, avoid the issue. They did have things being a little black and white. And they did, in a way, push a political agenda, or at least negate a political agenda. I would say that they did not do this, specifically. They didn't do it maliciously. I don't think that at all. I believe that they were there, and some viewpoints were thought of as being okay, and some were not. And Kinsey was not, and he had a very specific political viewpoint. I hope that answers your question. Oh, hey, Moose. Goodbye, Moose. Moose is Sarah's dog, by the way. If you haven't met Moose before, he appears on previous live streams in the past couple of months. He's a fun dog, most of the time. Surgacy, I guess is how you say that name. Hi, how are you doing? No, I'm doing okay. How are you? I'm doing fine. Living the dream. Talking Stargate. I always like talking Stargate. So I have to go back to question marks now. Yeah, I'm not. I cannot say that name. I don't know if that's pronounceable. Oh, hey Holly. Hey Papa Dog. I want to say. Let me show you the Papa Dog here. There's Holly, and there's Moose. Oh, hey Moose. Hey. How you doing, Papa Dog? Yeah. Good Papa Dog. Anyway. Sorry. Anyway, back to the case here. FHFSGHFGH, random keystrokes, states, has there ever been an actor that has appeared in all of the Stargate series, including the movie? Yes, there have. For including the movie, like the first movie, then no. We had some crossover with Skara. We had some crossover with Share and with Kashuf. And that was really the three actors and the three characters that came over. If you're talking actors in the series and the movies afterwards, then yes. Pretty much all of the original SG1 members made appearances in all of the series, as well as the two movies afterwards. And then you had Walter. Walter, the character, made appearances in all three series and the two movies. I think, was he in Continuum? I think it was in Continuum. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very select few. I think there's about half a dozen or so characters or actors that was in the all three series and the two movies afterwards. As far as the first movie and all three series and the movies afterwards, nobody was in all of those. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. Let's go back to looking for question marks. Madison D. Taylor, congratulations on your engagement. Thank you. If you were interested in a committed relationship with Sam Carter and unknowingly hooked up with Replica Carter, did you cheat? Or same, so it's okay. So let's see here. If I was in a committed relationship with Samantha Carter and I ended up having unknowingly hooked up with Replicator Carter, was that cheating? Yes. Was it intentional cheating? No. But you do have two different entities with two different consciousnesses. And even though Replicator Carter was a copy of Carter, after Replicator Carter existed, it ceased being Carter and started being a whole different person. So it's like being in a committed relationship with one twin and you unknowingly hook up with the other twin. Yes, it is still cheating. Was it intentional? No. Okay, you were fooled. Okay, so that would be mainly on the other person. Okay, in my personal opinion. But yes, that would still be cheating. Hope that answers your question, Madison, and I hope that you are not in that kind of predicament. If you are, I hope it works out for the best. Let's see here. James Fry. Oh, hey, James. What's up? I see you're not far off of your goal of your own website. For your own website. Yeah. So, so I did let my Kofi homies know. The Kofi homies are, I don't know if I've called them that before, but the Kofi homies are the subscribers who decide to buy me cups of coffee on Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com / the Stargate guy. And they support the channel by buying me a couple of cups of coffee. Coffee are $3 a cup, and it goes directly to the channel to help it grow and be awesome. So on one of those things, I try to do a monthly live stream just with the Ko-fi people. And the last one showed them that I was making my own website, thestargateguide.com. And it is not up yet. If you go there, you'll get a page that says, "Hey, I'm working on it," okay? And have a little drawing of a guy at a computer and being all frustrated. So I am working on the website. That has needed to take a back seat since wedding and moving and working with Stargate Command and that kind of thing, and making weekly videos does take a little bit of precedent, but I am still working on the website. It is on the list of things to get out sooner rather than later, hopefully. And it's going to start out just while I'm talking about it. The website is just going to start out basically just being a, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, that kind of thing. Later on, I have ideas for digital products that you guys would hopefully like down the road. for super cheap, that are nevertheless going to be good quality, hopefully, as well as different services that people can do. And I'm kind of curious. So since we're talking about this stuff here, and if you're still watching after 85 minutes, my guess is that you're kind of a fan of the show, and so you're probably a long-term subscriber. One of the things that an apostrophe came to me, or epiphany, if you will, and I ran it by Sarah, is that I realized that I had never seen the original Stargate movie in a movie theater. I haven't done that. I would like to change that. And so what I was thinking is that one of the things that would be really fun to do is if we could do wow, low battery. If we could do a subscriber meetup, like in Portland, say, and we can rent out a movie theater in Portland, and we can have a screening of the original Stargate movie with us Stargate fans, and I'll be there as well. And we can have a meet and greet. I could maybe film one of my videos there live for you guys. So if you guys want to attend the recording of a video and watch the original Stargate movie and kind of hang out and have fun, and if you want to do that kind of meeting, I think that'd be really fun. I mean, that'd be something that we'd all have to chip in money because I mean, renting a theater is probably not cheap. So we'd all have to, chip in some money in order to make it happen, and get tickets and stuff, I guess. But I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that'd be great because I have run into a couple of you guys like at WonderCon, and I love talking to you guys. Like it's awesome. So I don't know. Like let me know. Let me know in the comment section down below. Okay, comment section down. Not here. I know a couple of you said that you're already down here. I've seen you pop up on camera. But let me know in the comment section down below if that is something that you would be interested in, and let me know if you would be interested in doing that. Like I don't know how much it's going to be. But I want to know kind of what people would be willing to spend for that kind of thing. So let me know kind of a rough kind of dollar amount that you would be willing to spend in order to go to a theater and to meet me in person and watch the Stargate movie and on the big screen. Okay, I think that's the coolest part personally, on the big screen, and maybe do like watching a recording of a video in real life. I don't know. So let me know in the comment section down below, and kind of gauge if people are interested. Anyway, well, I really get off track. So thanks, James, for getting me off track there with the website. But yeah, like I don't know, and the reason why I brought that up is that maybe on the website there'll be like tickets or something. I don't know. If I can figure out how to do that. I'm not a website creator, so it's taking longer than I thought. Excuse me, hiccup. Let's see. Albie text. What do you think? What do you think that alien technologies make more Earth problems, but also solutions? What do you think that alien technologies make more Earth problems, but also solutions? I don't think I understand that. I think would alien technology make more problems or less problems on Earth? I think that's what you're trying to say. And both. Because on one hand, it would a lot of alien technology would solve a lot of problems. On the other hand, that would have a big impact on the economy globally. So, for example, if transporters were a thing, and people could step onto a platform and they could transport from UK to, I don't know, China in 2 seconds. The transportation industry would take a huge hit. Huge hit. Planes, trains, automobiles, like those economies would really take a beating. Okay, if telepads, I guess you call them, are big overall. Likewise with defense technology, that's a big industry. So yes and no. It would solve a lot of problems, but it would also create subsequent problems as well. Primarily economic problems is what I foresee. Um, do, 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 do. The Norwegian dude, they both suck at war, so? I don't understand that question. So I'm skipping it. Uh, Angel, uh, Angel Feliciano, I guess. I'm a hardcore Stargate fan. Love what you're doing? Question mark. I do you love what I'm doing? I don't get the question mark at the end of that. But if you're saying that you love what I'm doing, thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. If you're questioning whether you love what I'm doing, watch more videos and find out. I don't know. Dragonware 44. How far along? Oh, yeah. How far along into Stargate is your fiance? Near the end of season 2, beginning of season 3 of SG1. That's it. Brad Weekland, if you could pick 2 pieces of tech from Stargate, what would it be? I would pick intergalactic hyperdrive and healing nanoprobe. What 2 pieces of tech from Stargate would you pick? Yeah. I would pick the Guawood healing device. That would help a lot. And and I would probably go with Asgard beaming technology. Yeah, Asgard beaming technology and gold healing device. I think that'd be really cool. Again, that would have massive repercussions on the medical and transportation fields, but that would be the 2 technologies that I personally would love to have. It'd make traveling a hell of a lot easier, and if you get sick traveling, then it's easier to do. As long as the person has like naquita in their blood that would allow them to do that in order to use the thing. That's the catch. But I think we could find a way to get around that if we had to. Mr. Bojangles. Mr. Bojangles, which gold do you feel is underused and which one is overused? I would say underused. Which gold is underused? Interesting. Overused, I would have to say Apophis. I was getting kind of sick of Apophis. That guy needed to learn how to die, okay? I like Peter. Peter's a great guy, but I think Apophis just came back to life too many times. He needed to die sooner, and we need to move on. Dragon Lord one Intars. That's a good idea. Yeah. Man, I lost where I was. I'm sorry. Underused gold. Underused gold. I don't know, like there's so many like little go awards that would have been used. It really, underused go awards would be the rest of the go award on the System Lords Council. There were a lot of go award System Lords that we never saw outside of when we saw them in the council chambers. And we know nothing about them. I think that is something that was created and was completely ignored and underused. We dealt with the big guys. We dealt with Baal. We saw Osiris. We saw that kind of. Osiris was kind of underused. We saw Anubis, but like, there's a room full of system lords that like had 2 lines of dialogue, and we never saw them again. And if they're system lord, they would have to like have a lot of control in order to make that happen. So I think they were really underused. Madison D. Taylor, on the subject of the Ritu, can you explain why they went to war with Earth in the movie Starship Troopers, which is obviously a canon part of the Stargate universe and the star of the title? Okay, so anything with star in the title is not related to Stargate universe or the Stargate universe. Why the Ritu wanted to attack Earth? They wanted to decrease the human population so the Gold would have less hosts, kind of like with the Wraith. Or with the replicators destroying all the humans in the Pegasus galaxy. Let's see your question marks. Brad Weekly. Now, Richard, I think your question popped up later on. Yeah, so Richard, I am going to get to your question. I'm almost there. I'm sorry, I accidentally skipped over that. I do want to come back to that though. Brad Weekland, do you think Project Arcturus could have worked if they wrote the program to reduce the power being created the instant it detected any power increase fluctuation? Um, no, I think it's outside of our scope. Sorry. Maybe someday. Madison D. Unas versus Wraith, 1 versus 1, no hold bar fight. Who wins and why? And about the replicators versus the planet of SG1, where the energy cloud put them in a dream universe. Okay. Um, the Wraith versus Unas, Wraith. Simply because they have more stamina. Unas that does not have a gold in it tends to be a little bit more clumsy and wears out faster than a Wraith, as well as Wraith has the urge to feed. I don't know if it could feed off of an Unas. It might be too genetically different. But I think a Wraith would ultimately end up winning. And I think the Unas would wear out. If you want videos really going into the detail of that, let me know in the comment section. Comment section. Angel Feliciano, what character would you be in Stargate? Dr. Daniel Jackson. He's the one that really got me involved in archaeology and anthropology and history. And that's why I went to college and got 2 Bachelor of Science degrees in anthropology and history and a museum study certificate, was largely due to Daniel Jackson. Ms. Wub, is there a character, hero, villain that you would have liked to see more episodes featured? Felger. I would like to see Felger a little bit more. I would like to see Martin a little bit more. Some of those comic relief characters. I would love to see Ergo again. I really like those comedy relief kind of figures or characters. They're fun. Sorry, I'm trying to get through some of the. We've been live streaming here for a while, and I need to like go back to painting an apartment and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to get through some of these really quickly, and I want to get to Richard's question because you asked that earlier, like really early in the live stream, and I want to get to that. What character would you be in Stargate? Why isn't humanity of Earth sharing technology with all of the medieval civilizations, such as big deal for Asgard sharing tech with us? Isn't to them aircraft carrier what a starship is to us? Yeah, that's a very good point. We don't share technology with lesser civilizations, and we get frustrated when the Asgard don't share technology with us as a lesser technologically advanced civilization. I do think that is a little hypocritical. On the other hand, those people never asked us for a lot of technology. And when they asked us for technology, we did give them medical technology, not military technology. So in a way, we were helping them to be more technologically advanced. We were doing what the Asgard did not necessarily start doing with us. But I think a lot of it is them asking and them showing that they'd be responsible with it. And we've shown the Asgard that we're responsible with it for the most part. So they gave the keys of the kingdom to us, which, watch the Asgard are idiots or video for my viewpoint on that. Let's see here. Questions. Hey Taylor, how far along in Stargate is your fiance? We did that one already. Beginning of season 3, SG1. Let's see here, questions. Okay, so let's get to Richard Hughes' question. Richard Hughes asks, and one of the things that prompted this whole discussion in the live stream is comments about this. Richard Hughes asked, at the Stargate guy, are you going to get to the Trump thumbnail? So he asked earlier, let me see if I can go to the very beginning and get Richard's question here. Actually, I don't think I can get to the very beginning anymore. There's so many comments. Richard, could you... Oh, I'm at 10%. Richard, could you text again and more of a comment or more of a question format? Um, I would like to talk about it, but I don't know what exactly you said in your first question, and I want to answer that. Um, in the meantime, while Richard is typing, and hopefully he is, why didn't the Aura and Priors go to the Pegasus Galaxy? They didn't know about it. A Gold Wraith versus Prior. I don't know. Oh, okay, Richard. Not the Stargate guy. The Trump thumbnail is that anti-Trump. So in the video that I made, my hand's getting tired. In the video I made, the Goa'uld are idiots. In the thumbnail of that is a image of Trump's face that is painted up similar to the Joker from Batman, on top of Harrower's body. So all Goa'uld, like dressed in gold, that kind of thing. And the thumbnail said the Goa'uld are idiots. And that image of Trump with the painted face of the Joker on top of Harrower's body was used again in the video for the first couple of seconds. And so a lot of people gave comments calling me all sorts of things, things that I never imagined people would call me, as well as several people, who said, "Hey, I'm unsubscribing. You're anti-Trump, or you're extremely liberal, or you're pushing your political agendas, or anything like that on me." And I don't like that, so I'm unsubscribing. And I've received a lot of hateful comments and remarks because of that. One person even called me a filthy Jew, which is inaccurate on a lot of different scales. First off, I'm not Jewish, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. So you're asked, is that anti-Trump? No, I did not create that image to be anti-Trump. I did not create that image to promote any sort of political agenda. I created that image because it was funny. It's kind of funny, and it, as part of being used as a thumbnail, it catches people's eye. The whole point of a thumbnail is to be a marketing billboard for a video. And so I needed an image that would catch people's eye and being in the line of the videos of that series. So the Asgard are idiots, the big 80s glasses that's on an Asgard with the Ancients are idiots, the big rainbow wig, kind of clownish. And so I wanted to continue on with that clownish kind of pattern with the thumbnails. And so as I was, skimming through different images, I saw an image of someone who made Trump look like a weird version of the Joker. And I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. And so I, use part of that image as the thumbnail. It would catch people's eye, and it was kind of in line with the, joking kind of thing of the thumbnails. Later on in the video, as I was making and editing that video, I realized that if I just used the image or even a funny image of a popular political figure from one side of the spectrum, I needed to use one from the other side of the spectrum as well and make fun of both sides because I don't want to seem like I'm pushing a political agenda. So what a lot of people did not recognize is that there were a couple of images of Obama. There were some images of Obama that were used instead of Apophis's face. It was Obama's face, and it was meant to be a joking, kind of funny thing, and nobody said anything about that. But it was meant in good humor. Sorry, I think my battery's dying here. I need to plug in. So yes, I used a image of Trump that some people would find disrespectful to kind of catch people's attention. No, it was not meant to push any sort of political agenda. Yes, I used an image of Obama, former President Barack Obama, for actually a longer period of time than the Trump image, I believe, in that video. And that kind of made fun of it. It said Jaffa Cree at the bottom of the image, and it was Obama's face in one of Apophis's costumes to kind of play both sides because I don't want to seem like I'm pushing a political agenda. And so that's really the story behind that. I did not mean to offend anybody. I did not mean to push a political agenda. And I'm sorry if it came across like that, but that was not the intention. So